all you need is something to draw on, something to draw with, and your imagination. We start with simple lines and shapes, mix in some fun facts, and before you know it, your very own cartoons. In this episode, it's Playful Pets. Follow along as we are drawn into the world of cartooning at Cartoon Academy. Hi, I'm Joe Wos, and this is Cartoon Academy. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to learn about household pets by drawing one of my very favorites, a dog. When I was a little boy, I had a dog named Harry, and he was the best dog in the world. I'm going to teach you how to draw my dog. We're going to start with the eyes. We have a letter O shape. Right next to that is a letter C backwards. Now for the pupils, or little dots in the eyes. 1 and 2. For the nose, we're going to take the letter P and knock it over on its side. Looks like this. Line out, round, and up. Now we're just going to fill that in. From the middle base of the nose, draw a line coming in and up. For the corner of the mouth, put a capital letter E. Now from the base of the nose into the side. You know, most drawings are made up of basic lines, shapes, numbers, and letters, things you already know. See how many different letters and numbers you can spot as we're drawing these. Let's try this lower lip and neck. We draw a line over and then a line down. What number does that look like to you? If you turn it on its side, it looks like a number 2. We're going to take that number 2 and we're going to turn it into a different number. A stretched out number 5. Now for the front legs and paws, we come down, around, and in. There's another number 5. Up. Right next to that, down, round, and in. Now we're going to go back up to the top of the head. We're going to have the head and the ears. From a quarter of the way over on this eye, we come up, round, down, a stretched out letter U, into a V. You know, whenever Harry would hear a can opener going, he knew it was dinner time. So whenever you hear that can opener, his one ear would stick straight up like this. So whenever I draw dogs, I always like to draw their ears sticking up. For the eyebrows, we're going to use equal signs. Now let's go back down to the hind legs. The hind legs, or back legs, start out as a number 2 and then become a number 3. For the back, we're going to draw a backwards letter S. Now we must add paws. 1, 2, 1, 2. In cartoons, there are lots of different ways we show emotion, how a character feels. We show it through the facial expressions, with the eyes, eyebrows, and the mouth. But with animals, sometimes there are some other ways we can show how they feel. For a dog who's very happy, maybe his tongue is sticking out, a letter U with a line down the middle, and he's wagging his tail. We draw a letter V that's curved, and then 2 lines for motion. Let's add a bit more to our drawing. Let's establish a bit more about the character and the setting by adding some props. Props are something a character holds or uses or interacts with, or sometimes just in the background, that helps establish the scene, where our action is taking place and who the character is. So think about the kinds of props or things that a dog might use. Let's start with a dog bowl. We're going to draw a line up at an angle and then an oval on its side. And then a line down at an angle and a curved line across. Inside, we're going to just add some water. Now you can name your dog whatever you want, but if you remember, my dog's name was Harry. What else do you think of when you think of a dog? I'm going to add a dog bone. Maybe there's a rubber ball. That's just a circle, and I'm going to put a star on it. How about we give him a friend? Let's give him a teddy bear. For the teddy bear, we're going to start with the nose. Now we're going to repeat that shape again for the eyes. We just turn it vertically or up and down. For the mouth, an upside down letter T. And then eyebrows. 1, 2. For the head shape, it looks like a fuzzy pear. So we draw that texture. Just go back and forth with your pencil or pen or crayon, whatever you're drawing with. The ears are letter C. Letter C. Letter C. Letter C backwards. Letter C backwards. Good. Now, most of the body is hidden behind here, so we just draw the arms. 1, 2, and then the rest of the body sort of hidden back here. Add 2 lines for paws and a little bit of the ground surface. When you're all done, be sure and sign your name. Take pride in your work. Now we're going to draw a very handsome, dapper little guy. This character is a fancy hamster. That's really what they're called, fancy hamsters, but we're going to dress them up a bit too. Let's begin. We're going to start with the nose. The nose is a triangular shape. It's a little bit curved around the edges. Next to the pupils. 1, 2. Now for the mouth. Come down, around, and up. Add a little curved dash. Down, around, and up. Add a little curved dash again. Now the teeth. Down, over, and up. Add a line right down the middle. And then a dash. Next are our eyebrows. 1, 2. Now for the top of the head. It's a line just going right across like so. For the ears, we come around and in, around and in. Inside the ear, in the interior, we add a little teardrop or raindrop shape. The head and body are all one piece, one shape. So we draw a line coming down, over, and down, and connect. Now for the legs and arms. The legs are just a number 3. There we go. And a number 3 on this side. The hands look like this. 1. And this one is a little bit different. We're going to have a few little freckles here. And paws. 2, 1, 2. Now, this is a fancy hamster, so we're going to dress him up a bit by adding some costume and props. Costume is what a character wears that tells us who they are. Props are what a character holds or uses. So we're going to give him costume first. We're going to add a little hat on top of his head, a little top hat. It looks like we're drawing a hot dog. Then up, over, and down. And then a hat band. Now we're going to color all of that in with your pencil or marker. Color in the top of the hat too. Just fill it in as best you can. There we go. Now for a few of the props. In this hand, we're going to add a cane. Line down, over, and up. Line across at the top and at the bottom. And then we're going to fill in the rest. In this hand, let's have him holding a flower. Line up, circle, and then the petals, one by one. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, or even 6. It's up to you. Add a little bit of ground surface to show where he's standing. There's your fancy hamster. It's an adorable guy. He looks like he's ready for a night out on the town. Sign your name. Take pride in your work. Next, we're going to draw two household pets who, well, don't quite get along. A goldfish and a cat. We're going to see how it turns out. Let's draw. We're going to start with the eyes on our goldfish. We have an oval, and then a letter C backwards. Now for the expression on his face. We have the pupils and the eyebrows. Look a little bit worried and maybe concerned. Now for the mouth. We're going to come down to a point, down, point, out, and in, and we're going to stop right there. We see a little bit of the interior or inside of the mouth. So we're just going to color that in. For the back of our fish, we come down and around. Now we're going to have our fish sitting inside the bowl. The bowl is his habitat. The habitat is where a character lives. So we're going to have a line that goes across like this, and then we're going to leave a little gap, and then a line like this. Back in, leave that gap, over and in, leave that gap. That gap is so we can add his little fin holding on to the bowl. Now we can complete all these other lines. Connect, connect. Here's the other fin. Out, down, and in. Now for the bowl. Starting where we left off up here, we're going to come down, round, flatten it out a little bit, round and up. We now have to draw the fish's body inside of the bowl. So we're going to leave a little space here, come down and in, down and in, and then add the tail fin. There are some props within his habitat. There are some rocks and a castle. But notice the way I draw the castle. I'm not using straight lines. This is called distortion. It looks sort of wobbly. And the reason it looks kind of wobbly like that is because of something called refraction. It's the way we see the light when it has to go through two different kinds of mediums. We're seeing the light as it bounces off the castle through both the water and the glass. So this causes refraction. It makes it look distorted. Add a few little specks to show the gravel. We're also going to add just a little bit of reflection on the glass. Reflection is the way the light shines bouncing off of the glass. Now we're going to add a little table that bowl is sitting on. Line over, over, down, and up. Down, and down. That just gives us a table. Let's add some gills. 1, 2. As you can see, our little goldfish seems a little bit worried. That's because there's a character relationship. Relationship is how one or more characters interact with one another. This is a very specific kind of relationship that's quite common in both the animal kingdom and cartoon world, and that is the relationship of predator and prey. One of these characters might end up as lunch. Don't worry, I think our little fish is pretty smart, and he'll outsmart that mean old cat. We're going to start with the nose for our cat. It's a triangle. Next, the eyes. Oval. But this one's a little bit different. We've got an eyebrow coming down like that to form the top of the eyelid, and then around. Now the other eyebrow. Now for the pupils. He has a very devious look on his face, doesn't he? The mouth, down and up and add a dash. Same thing on the other side. Lower lip. Let's add a few teeth. Just a quick letter V. Now for the head shape. We're going to start with the top of the head. We're going to have a line going across like this to show some fur-like texture. The ears. The ears are sort of triangular shaped, but there's a little notch right there, and then in. The interior, or inside of the ear, looks like an upside down letter V, and then a line across the bottom. Let's add some shading inside the ear. Other ear, same way, but on the opposite side. Come up, down, add a notch, and down. The interior of the ear, upside down V, across, and shade it in. Now for the sides of the face and the cheeks. We come down, down, and scribbly lines out and in. Scribbly lines and in. Don't worry about being neat. Make it nice and messy. And then that goes right off the bottom of our page. Let's add some whiskers next. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you like, you could add some stripes to your cat. There is our cat and our goldfish. I hope they become friends. Be sure to sign your name, take pride in your work. I really enjoyed drawing those two characters. It's fun to draw different kinds of relationships and different kinds of characters. I hope you had fun too. This has been Cartoon Academy. Now it's time to draw to a close.